Okay, I'm inside of a walk-in cooler. We should do a show in here sometime.
See, I
Who's
actually took
taking
the
your?
effort of coming to a pub. This is the
I,
local that I told you near my house.
yeah, sweet. Yeah, the place looks great.
So I thought we'll do pub to pub conversation, minus your
Sweet. All
walk-in
right. Well,
cooler a bit.
let me get my background correct, and I'll have just booze behind me, and we'll look like two alcoholics talking. How you been, man?
Good. How about you?
I'm good. Okay, so here, there. Now we literally look like we're in the same room.
I
That's
know.
awesome. Tell them I'm very proud of them for having a proper name like that.
Do you know the
Hey,
owner?
that
I
place
spoke.
looks great.
Yeah, the owner. I spoke to him, and he visited like a number of bars in both Ireland and Boston, and then designed
Right.
this place according to a place where he would like to drink.
There you go. Good for him. Well, I don't even want to ask how many fights he had to be in Boston. So one of my cousins landed there, and there was a guy
Mhm.
named Jimmy the Sink. He drank so much, his nickname was the Sink, but he had hands like twice the size of mine. And he was
Mhm.
literally the reason people make fun of Irish people. He liked to drink and fight. And he found
Wow.
other people that like to drink and fight. Yeah.
Mhm.
Crazy man. Crazy man. But I like the way that place looks. What time of night is it there?
It is daytime. It is 4 in
Oh,
the
okay.
evening. So that's why.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
And don't
My
worry, there are
wife
actually
is
a couple of tables.
right. Oh, cool. So they're listening to you sound like a crazy person. Good for you.
Mhm.
My, so my wife is on this insane sleep schedule now, and it's
Um,
ruining my insane sleep schedule. So
don't let your troublesome sleep habits ruin my already troubled sleep habits.
I know. So I've already done, I walked the dog, I did yoga, did all that, and I'm like, oh, I'll lay down for 45 minutes, and then boom, I was out. So yeah, life is good. So here's the
Mhm.
deal. I don't know, we haven't discussed any of this, but so my wife, for audience members, my wife got diagnosed with cancer, and so we are doing chemo and all this other stuff. And none of that has been the thing that she's complained about. What she
Mhm.
actually complained about was going to the hospital, and we're doing 7 hours of chemo the first time. But what they
Oh.
didn't have is just ordinary creamer for coffee. They had like hazelnut, vanilla, and her sense of smell and taste is off a little bit. Not that she would have drank that shit anyway, but that was her complaint the whole time. And it was an emergency. I had my daughter run over some milk for us so she could have a bit of coffee. That's how my life's going right
That does sound like Cathy.
now. I know, isn't that hilarious? And then patiently sat for the 7 hours as if nothing was going wrong. So yeah, it's an interesting.
Yeah, this is some ordeal to deal with.
Right. Well, it's look, I'm old. She's as old as I am, which would make her old. And this just seems to be kind of the way it goes at the my dad used to say getting old isn't for sissies, and he might have used a stronger word than that, but that's essentially what he said. And god dang, he was right, man. Woo.
Yeah.
All right, here's what I'm interested in. What do they wear for uniforms there?
So all of the staff have a uniform that has a patch on its shoulder that says the local. It's black on black.
Yeah.
Let
Nice.
me see if one of the guys walks by. I'll show you.
And so
Hang
what do
on, I
they
can
what do
actually
they
turn
serve?
this to show you. So that is the
Oh,
outdoor
sweet.
smoking section. I'm actually
Wow.
indoors so that they could turn down the volume a little bit so I could hear you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Dang, you're
actually
making.
by them.
If I wasn't in my pub right now, I'd be a little homesick. But so do
I
they
think,
do food or do they do
yeah,
food or just booze?
they do food and booze, and yeah, they have like a really good selection of whiskeys. Problem is that I don't drink whiskey,
Right.
but they have at least like what do you tell me? Around 16 different types of beer.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the real question is not that it's pub food, but do they have biscuits and gravy if he was in Boston?
No, he didn't do it.
That's what we got to teach the guy to make. That'll give him an authentic specialty. And I guess you would have to explain. Would you have to do it? Well, no, you guys don't have to worry about it because you don't do beef generally. So, wow, the swine is divine.
By the way, this place you actually can get buffalo, which is kind of beef here.
Wow.
They have to term it as buffalo so that it doesn't cause too much chaos. They do have a lovely breakfast, Sean, where they do baked beans on toast as well as with sausages, bacon.
Okay, but what they really need to do, and English people wouldn't take it personal, is these people traveled the whole world, tried to conquer everybody, bring every spice back home, and decided not to use them on baked beans and toast. Honest to God, that would be my T-shirt out of that place.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. I'm impressed. So they do bangers and mash and fish and chips and all the normal meat.
Yeah, they do fish and chips, bangers and mash. Except they do name it sausages, yeah, so that most people just understand straight up front what it is.
Right. That makes sense.
And they also do like some traditional food, like Indian cuisine as well is on the menu.
Yeah. So it's like a real English pub, but that vendor would be outside the front door. I remember we did chips and curry here, and people were like, "My God, this curry's so hot!" And I go, "Right, that's actually the way it's supposed to be made, right there." They're like, "No, it's delicious," and it's sweating. So we had to change it back to the white version.
Oh no! Can't add any flavor for you people, can we?
I
know.
Not
you. You are fine with all types of spices.
Well, we'll have to figure out a guest chef deal if I get to come over and visit. We could make that happen.
Oh hell yeah! I'm pretty sure they'll be game for it too.
That'd be fun. All right, what are we in trouble with today? My God, our state superintendent of schools spoke in front of Congress yesterday, which shows you how fucked up our Congress is, that they invited that loser to speak.
I did see that he brought up how China owns schools in Oklahoma, and I was like, oh no, why is this on my newsfeed?
Okay, so here's the thing, Deepak, and I really mean this. Look, if people are really doing something to you that's bad, that's fine. But we're making China this enemy that they're not. Look, did they? You want to know where you go if you want China to indoctrinate you? Walmart. Yeah. Walmart made China the economic powerhouse they are, and by making them the economic powerhouse they are, they made the Walmart family really, really, really rich. And so now, Walmart family is the ones that want to change our school system so much and basically like factory produced schools, which is probably what we're working towards. And they are the ones that want to own it and run it. The irony of this asshole going over there and saying China's trying to indoctrinate schools by literally teaching Mandarin, which if you want to do business in China, what language do you need to speak?
Mandarin. Or Cantonese, they're at least teaching Mandarin.
Right. So it would just be normal. I mean, wouldn't you be shocked if some American bothered to learn your language and do business in India?
Oh yeah, that would be amazing, actually. I'd be like, you can take all our shit.
Right. We would love to be Walmart's second place customer. So the reality that this guy's money comes from these same people that created this economic powerhouse now known as China, and we're threatened by China now because they can produce as much as we can. And we were the original China to England, and then we took them over. When it came to wartime, so it's really disingenuous. It's shitty, and I know he's only worried about his own career. Yeah, but I'm just disgusted by the it's a small group of people on the far right that all it is just to get on TV and get on TV and get on TV. And he's a history teacher. He knows what
Hmm.
he's doing has a long-term negative effect. It really sickens me. But that is where we are in American politics.
Are these guys all just gunning for like national airtime to further their political careers to some sort of national position? Or
Correct. So what
Mhm.
they've got to do is the predictable 10 red states, these lower 10, are will eventually get locked up into shitty education, shitty schools, which we already have. We're all in the bottom 10 down here. So in order to
Mhm.
do anything with your children here, you've got to send them to private school. But now
Yeah.
they've taken a bunch of government money and put it in private school, which means it's not really elite anymore. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
No, no.
Think of school you went to. What makes it that way is those parents are willing to spend a bunch of money to put their kids there. When the
Mhm.
parents are no longer spending the money, you're just another school. I mean, and I don't mean
Yeah.
that to be mean, but that's
Mhm.
what makes it. That's what makes it different. So my mom taught in public school. You got to take anybody that comes in the front door, like politics.
Mhm.
And the thing is, you have to adjust your curriculum to who is there.
Yeah.
And so the parents who are really concerned with education do charter schools if they do public, or they do
Mhm.
some like online version where they can watch it and still basically kind of homeschool. Um, but you know, if you want to send your kid to private, those other parents want their kids in private schools with the other parents that care that much. There's a reason for it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of shitty. It's only 5% of the population. Um, you know, I did it for my kids because I know it's an enormous advantage.
Mhm. Oh yeah. It's
Yeah.
kind of a like even if you don't take into consideration the quality of education, it's also all the people you meet in those schools that end up
Right.
being like contacts for you in the future, either career
Right.
wise, whatever the hell you want to.
So as my mother would say it, she would go, if you went to school with them, they will return your phone calls.
Mm-hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
the example I would give for anyone that travels, my mom and dad were going back to his home country, which is Ireland, and some way or another, she or he lost the passports and they were stuck in New York City. And
Oh wow.
she had passports the next morning. And that is when I learned that she actually knew everybody. And I didn't know it until then in life. But I was like,
Mhm.
holy shit. Within 24 hours, she had 2 printed photographed passports.
That is awesome.
That is some mojo. Right, exactly. Anyone that's ever traveled and gone, you got to be shitting me. She did that in a day. You know, you can't even get an appointment now for 2 weeks. So,
Do you remember
but
the
that's what
time
she,
where during COVID where my passport had expired and then I had to get a new passport from Houston?
yeah,
Yeah, that was a pain in the
classic.
ass.
God. Well, and mine's expired now. I actually need to get that taken care of. So, yeah,
Mhm.
but that's the deal with public and private. And I know that sounds shitty, but if you wanted to be an elitist, which you know you can call me an elitist, I don't care. Your dad was an elitist, Deepak, by the way, by sending you there. If you want to make fun of somebody for that, at least they're putting up their own dime, meaning they pay for it themselves.
Mhm.
You know,
True.
and eventually the next step from private school is what country club you go to, because that'd be the other place that huge deals are made. Or I hate to break it to everybody, what bar you drink at, because that's where actual business deals are made all the time on a napkin.
Oh yeah.
And it really does. I mean, so Kyle, my good personality son, would always say, it's the hands you shake, not the grades you make, that actually matter. And I would go, that is true, but please stop saying that. It just sounds bad.
Thank God when he was our intern, he didn't say that to me. I would have been like, please shut up and go away.
I know. Yeah. And just so you guys don't know, that was Deepak's intern.
Yep.
But speaking of which, if I didn't know you, you know, that deal probably wouldn't have come together. So, you know, it all really does come around. I went to this school in Kansas City, Missouri, that I got thrown out of, called Rockhurst, Rockhurst. And so when you would go in for jobs, especially professional jobs, they go, oh, it's a nice Rockhurst boy. And that was a
Uh-huh.
term for saying, oh, it's a well-educated private school kid from a Catholic family, you know, and all of that sounds terrible when you separate it out that way, but it sounds really sweet when they go, oh, it's a nice rocker's boy.
Yep. So
Yeah.
much of innuendo in that one sentence.
Oh, yeah. How shit really works versus what people see. My sister Jeannie went to St. Teresa's Academy. It was the girls' version of the same school, boys' version, and then the girls' version. And their teachers would tell them that their husbands or they would be running the city in 10 more years. And that's why they're so hard on it.
Yeah.
Made no bones about it whatsoever. That's where the people came from that ran the city. Crazy
That's
town.
probably so true, huh?
I know. That's why I own a pub.
That's one way of going about doing this, Sean.
I know. So this idiot gets in front of, whatever congressional committee, because the good news is he wasn't in front of the entire Congress. And nobody thinks very, very much of our state anyway up there. And he goes into the whole China thing, but he doesn't provide any documentation. And you shouldn't be allowed to be in front of a congressional committee without being able to prove the things you're getting ready to say. But that is what scares me about where we are in politics. That this idiot was able to go do that, and that will be taken as fact by the people he was in front of.
Yeah, doesn't that go into like congressional record now? And
oh yeah,
with this idiot's name on it. Yeah.
I know. It's really it's not disheartening. It's alarming. At this point, this stuff is alarming. He is literally a white Christian fascist is the category I would put him in. And what he had talked about the day before was having church and schools and all this other stuff. I mean, shit that is so, we literally in America were built on the foundation of freedom of religion. Yeah. But that also means freedom of no religion. We don't get to, and that's the angle he's pushing because that's where the money is now.
Yeah, I think it's more of I think it's a global trend where most countries are actually going this direction. Like even here, there's like a weird push to rename India to Bharat, which is
why?
I guess it's like the Hindi word for India. And
okay, so you're going to be like a rapper. You're going to rebrand.
Yeah, pretty much.
So here's the thing. I like the fact that some people have the fervor that they have found God, Allah, Jesus, Buddha, whatever they find. Hey, God bless you. I'm glad. But this is an old world problem that's now in the new world in a big way. And getting these folks to listen to any logic doesn't happen because they authentically believe what they believe.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's
so bad.
Just recently, I was telling someone how before, when I used to travel abroad and come back to India, I would meet people who were Indian. Now I just meet people who are violently Indian to the point where I don't know what to say to them.
Yeah. So we have that in Ireland, and it usually starts out with being very anti-British, which I'm okay with. They weren't very nice to us, so you don't need to be nice back. But 30% of the economy depends on England. So everybody you're bitching about is the same person you're putting stuff on a lorry to send over to England. I mean, just
I know.
So the telling fact on something like that, Deepak, and I'll be interested to see how that works out with your country in another 10 or 15 years, is when Ireland tried to do an uprising against England back in the early 1900s. They thought that the American Irish would join them and they could easily defeat England. Not only did the American Irish not join them, the Irish didn't join them. It was a very small group of people. And so it really didn't work out for anybody. But there was this assumption because you were from there that you were willing to go back and die for, whatever freedoms they believed that they didn't have. In England were pricks. I mean, you guys know the deal. They're not very nice to have as occupiers. They just take all your shit and smile and act like you're supposed to be okay with it. But the American Irish were doing great in America, much like the Indian American
Indians,
population does
yeah.
very, very well.
That is true.
Right. So I don't know where that goes, but back to the congressional thing, if we're going to have that guy be your witness, I mean, because that's what you're there to do, is to tell these people that don't see regular everyday people, what's happening in the world. And he's lying. And that sucks, man.
Aren't there any news outlets that picked up his shit and said, yeah, this is not true, we have no idea what he's talking about type shit?
So those news outlets are ignoring him because they don't want to give him any airtime.
Oh.
But who will pick it up is Fox News, Newsmax. There's something
OAN or whatever
AI,
the hell that is.
some other loony one. And these are, I mean, hey man, if you watch the stuff Donald Trump's spewing out these days, this is right along with that take on everything. So our guy was originally trying to woo, whatever word we want to do, with DeSantis. And DeSantis has not climbed in the polls. He's actually dropped. So now he's switched back to, he's all Trump. He's all Trump. He wants the Trump education. You go, I think Trump had a school like Trump College and it went bankrupt. Trump University.
University, where he was supposed to, wasn't the deal where he was supposed to come in and do some lectures?
Yeah.
Sean, those kids would have got bigly educated, damn it.
I know, exactly. Isn't that the damn truth? It's just scary. So that's where I am on everything. I don't, it's not a huge frustration thing. I am alarmed, and I really mean it. I am alarmed at where we keep going, and these guys are doing it purposely. So we have a school board. I got to sneeze. Sorry, hold on. We have a school board meeting in another week or so, and it'll be back to this, crazy deal. And I have a lawyer that I can't communicate with correctly on whether he's got my paperwork in or not. This guy came so highly recommended, it's insane. And I have never dealt with anybody that's as bad of a communicator in my entire life. I don't care how famous you are. If I don't know you've done your job, you haven't done it.
Oh goodness! God. That's the problem when you have people that highly recommended, but you're like, hey, are you able to follow up with us after this?
Right. And I don't know, I literally have no idea where the case is, what's happening with it or anything. And I have people who donated money towards it. So, if they're using that money, they want some documentation, which they deserve. So I guess in order for him to be paid, I'll get all that, which is, that's yet another story. So what else do we need to talk about today, my man? I know we got a few minutes left.
The article that you couldn't open was an article about Canada accusing India of committing an assassination on Canadian soil.
Oh, wow. Really?
Uh-huh.
Dang. And I couldn't open it here. How weird is that? Jeez.
I know. So, dude, it was a Washington Post article that I sent you.
Oh, wow. God, that's weird. I wonder, so tell me what was the accusation, and we'll meander around saying whether it's fact or not.
So basically, there is. So you remember the Sikh population, right? Which are the Punjabis, right. The guys with the turbans. So they
and the knife on their thigh. Yeah.
So they used to actually have an old country in that part of what is now part of India and part of Pakistan, which was their own country.
Right.
So there are some people who want that kind of a separation to have their own country back type stuff.
Right.
And he was an advocate for that, who lived in Canada because of some sort of weird persecution type deal here. We're not very high on press freedoms, by the way, so that's why we tiptoe around certain conversations.
Careful, yeah, careful.
Yeah, so I guess a month ago or something that he died in Canada, and they committed they suspected foul play. And to those yesterday or day before yesterday, in his parliament said that India was responsible.
Wow. Dang.
And
And that's
India
like
just
the
responded saying that this is absurd, which the moment someone lashes out with absurd, I'm like, wrong choice of words.
thou protesteth too much, my man. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it seems to be. So I guess what I would ask is what's WhatsApp saying? Because that's where most Indians are getting their news.
This is something that I need to check with other people and see what the hell's going on.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
I mean, that's what would be my curiosity. We're up against it here so much that the people that are getting news from an outlet like that don't talk to anybody else. So the only people they get anything from are the people that are doing the same thing. And it's a microcosm of problems. But you guys are so much bigger than most countries. Wow. Oh, that's crazy. Well, am I surprised? No. I mean, has America assassinated people? Yes. You know, did Russia assassinate people? Yes. Did what's the dude, this young Saudi guy?
Oh shit! Why am I forgetting? MDH.
I don't know. They go with an abbreviation. Yeah. Anyway, did he kill somebody? Yeah. I mean, we're just finding out about him.
Yeah, I like that how it's just like normal these days. Where they're like, okay, we're not going to say it. We're just going to publicly deny it. You guys think what you'll want to.
Right. Well, I think the news cycles move so quick, you can get away with that. So they just go, we'll just sit out the news cycle. Instead of addressing it or anything, you just go, oh, that's absurd.
Yep.
And everyone goes, right, can we do a follow-up question? They go, no, I said it's absurd. It's over. Right.
So here's the weird thing where I think it's something like about 5 or 6 years or since he has been elected into power where the first press conference he was ever in was in the US with Biden.
Right.
Besides that, he doesn't do press conferences in India at all.
Wow. Dang.
Like the only time you'll see him talk is at like rallies and inaugurations, which are now more of a rally in essence. Like I'm gonna open this highway / my party rally type shit.
Right. How isn't that the way everything's run? Okay. All right. So you're at the local and I'm at my local.
Hell yeah.
Okay, to finish this segment out, what do people actually drink there versus what would Americans think you would drink there?
Okay, here the weird part is that a lot of them drink draft beers on tap.
Right.
And these people have a tie-up with a microbrewery. Bangalore has like a ridiculous number of microbreweries. So there's a microbrewery called Geist that supplies them with 4 types of beer. One is like an IPA, one is a Pilsner, one is a Stout, and I think the last one would be a lager. And you have like your regular Kingfisher and Budweiser on tap. But towards like post 8 o'clock, you'll see all the hard liquor drinkers only be left behind.
Right. Because I always try to explain to people that Budweiser was finally able to export into Ireland. Nobody really ever bought it before. And like my cousin's pub, you'd go in there and he sold Guinness and maybe one other beer. And that was really it. He didn't have a variety. And now the biggest beer that you will see sold in Ireland is some cheap American import. Budweiser, Coors Light, Bud Light, something along those lines, just because it's cheap.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Miller High Life to market here because the moment they use their sentence, the champagne of beers, I'm pretty sure idiots would buy it and drink it.
You're in. Hey, it worked here. It really did. Wow. Yeah, we used to, I mean, I understand just the cheaper drinks for people that just want to drink and socialize. I understand it entirely. You know, it makes sense. I do want to point out that the internet at the local where you're at is brilliant. We have not had a single problem. Wow.
I know. He was like, just use our Wi-Fi if you guys are recording. And it worked perfectly.
God, that's crazy. I know, but it usually doesn't work that way whenever either one of us are doing any exterior stuff.
I know.
Oh, my God. So I'm recording our State of Oklahoma podcast yesterday. And so Siri keeps taking over my phone. I wish I was kidding. I don't even use Siri. Siri is not turned on. But when I do education podcast, I get the little weird circle with all the colors on it, and it screws up my whole podcast. It's insane. And so yesterday, I don't wear glasses. Like if you and I are doing this live right now, people will be typing in questions and stuff. If we were doing Facebook Live, and that's what that one is. And people are typing in, they couldn't hear. Some way or another, the sound was off. However, everything else worked. And then I tried to record without the mic system in and everything. Still wouldn't record. Turned it on, turned it off, and everything was back to normal. But the same thing happened outside of the State Board of Ed. I don't want to be paranoid.
Sean, you think that Siri and Apple are also out to get you?
I know, is it? And it's Siri, who I do not use. I don't want something listening in 24/7, even though I know there are things listening in 24/7. So Siri always bothered me with that people would have it in their house and shit, and I don't get it. But yeah, isn't that crazy? Overtook my deal again. All right, tell everybody at the local, thank you very much. If I get to travel in India, I will come in and guest chef there for a night, or even worse, I'm a terrible bartender. I could come guest bartend, and they would find out how incompetent a pub owner can be.
I'm gonna be the first one who's gonna be like, don't let him bartend. He's the worst bartender I've ever had in my life.
That's awesome. All right, well, seriously, tell them thank you. God, you need to go there more often. That internet is dynamite.
Yep. So I told him that we probably will start doing it where it's like a pub to pub recording.
Yeah.
And we'll do this on Monday and Wednesday recordings out here.
Cool. Yeah, it's brilliant. All right, buddy. Hey, you have a good day. Raise a glass for me, my man.